Welcome into TexAgs Rewind. Got the fan show guys here. I'm about to upset our audience and you too. Okay?
Fire away.
So the other day I mentioned I hadn't watched Ace Ventura. I think I watched parts of it. Obviously I've watched parts of it.
What?
Yeah. But then you guys mentioned The Big Lebowski. I haven't watched it.
What?
I've watched a lot of great movies. Not those.
There's a certain list of movies you have to watch.
I wouldn't call Ace Ventura a great movie. So
no, it is. The first one is.
It looks like it sucks.
It's classic. It's a classic movie. The first one.
It's classically bad, but it does set up. It does set up a ton of references for the rest of your life. So it's like
it's okay. I've made it. I've got my job still.
The Big Lebowski is really like a cult type movie.
I've been told I would like that one.
I think you'd really like The Big Lebowski.
Yeah,
I
haven't watched
it.
There are rules, Smokey. Like, this is not Vietnam. There are rules.
I know you have, but I'm going to ask, have you guys watched the movie Cobra?
Oh,
yes.
Okay, making sure.
Greatest car ever, by the way.
What's another movie that Scarface?
Well, I think everybody's seen Scarface.
Of course. I watched it when I was 7 at the theater with my parents.
I think the question is, what's probably like the most popular movie that you've heard of that you've never seen?
I just said a couple. Name another one.
I meant more
First
popular.
Blood. Rambo, First Blood.
Of course.
Beetlejuice.
I saw it at the theater. Yes, I've seen Beetlejuice 100 times.
Yeah, it's really like the cult classics.
Amadeus.
Oh.
Yeah, I've seen Amadeus.
Up top.
There we go. Rock me, Amadeus.
What about Pale Rider? This is a random one, but Pale Rider.
I'm sorry.
Clint Eastwood.
I don't think I've watched that one.
Pale Rider's really good.
Death Wish, the original. Bruh, that's my kind of movie. Are people getting shot? All right, here on the Rewind. Callie, tell us, what was your favorite part of the show today?
Oh, man. I loved having Schloss in here. That was a lot of fun.
Right.
I also really enjoyed talking about the over-unders for the future football season. I think there's a lot of mystery with those. We didn't really hit on Florida, but I think there's a lot of interesting things going down in Gainesville. So we'll see. But
that's the
I
nicest way I think anybody's put that about the Florida program right now.
Well, they've got Graham Mertz ranked higher than Connor Wegman. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the show. All right. So today, Stephen McGee. Aggie baseball, 22 days away. We did have Schloss in studio. Pat Bradley joined us from the SEC Network, and these knuckleheads right here. It's the Rewind. Stephen, I'm going to give you the 3 top names out there. You kind of tell me who you would buy, sell, lease for a great NFL career. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels.
Gosh, this is a tough one this year. Those are all 3 really good ones. I'm probably going to buy Caleb Williams. And I have some skepticism about him. Too many turnovers, in my opinion, for how many starts he has underneath that same Lincoln Riley system at USC against some lesser caliber defenses in the Pac-12. I'll go with him first though because of a high ceiling. He's got unbelievable talent. Jaden Daniels 2, Drake May 3. Daniels is intriguing to me. Arguably the best year out of all of them, obviously. Wins the Heisman, has really resurrected his career at LSU. Phenomenal player. And I think the most that closely mirrors Lamar Jackson. And I say that because the NFL is a copycat league. They get something hot. And right now, who's the hot team in the NFL? The Ravens and Lamar Jackson. And so I think a team could be highly intrigued by a quarterback like Jaden Daniels who can run, may run a 4.4 at the combine, and who can make all the throws.
OB?
I'm going to buy Drake May. I'm going to lease Caleb Williams for a lot of the reasons that Stevens mentioned. I go back to he's always had better talent around him than he's facing.
Sure.
And, yeah, he can make throws, but I think he's overhyped. I could see him being a Jameis Winston. And I'm going to sell Jaden Daniels because I get the comparison to Lamar Jackson, but I don't think he's Lamar Jackson.
So in 2000, I'm coaching at TCU, and we're getting ready to play. Buck Showalter was the manager of the Rangers at the time, and all my time at TCU, I had I got to know all those managers, Ron Washington and Jeff Bannister, all those guys really well. And Buck was he was kind of a hero, not hero, but I admired him. And so we're getting ready to play the University of Utah one weekend, and they had a hitter named C.J. Crone, went in the first round, has played in the major leagues for over 10 years, big power hitter. And we had decided on the weekend, under no circumstances is CJ Cron going to beat us. I mean, like under no circumstances? Yeah, under no circumstance. So, of course, it gets to game 3 of the series, 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. We're up 4 runs. The bases are loaded and Cron's up. I intentionally walked him with the bases loaded. The next guy had actually hit 2 home runs that weekend, so it wasn't just an easy hitter. And he hit a ground ball to shortstop. We fielded it, threw it out first base, game over, we win. And I just couldn't wait to call Buck because he had intentionally walked Barry Bonds with the bases loaded. And I said, I can't wait to tell Buck. I did what he did. And I called him and I said, hey man, I want to let you know what happened today. And I told him and I said, yeah, it worked out. And he said, I'll never forget this. He said to me, he said, hey, just because it worked out doesn't mean it wouldn't have been the right decision. And so that's what, coaching to me, I coached at UNLV for a couple years. I've never gambled, but if you go into a blackjack room or a card table room, if you knew that card table, you had a 40% chance to win, and that card table, you had an 80% chance to win, which one would you play?
Go to 80.
You go to the 80, but you got a 20% chance of it not working out.
Correct.
So really, in reality, the game management of the game, I'm not talking about coaching, like teaching a guy how to throw a curveball, all the stuff you do in practice. I'm talking the managing of the game is just, all right, what gives us the best chance in this spot, right? Is it putting down a bunt? Is it bringing this pitcher in? Is it bringing Palish in a 3-2 count in a super regional, right? And so anyway, that's where I think sometimes and I'm a fan too of a lot of things, but coaching, when you just because a guy made a decision to start this player or call this play, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't mean it was the right decision. It just, that coach at that time thought it was the best chance. So I'm not trying to preach, but that's just really, none of this stuff is guaranteed, man. You're trying to give your team the best chance and then go from there.
Pat, how close do you think the second tier of the SEC is this year? Like, obviously you got your top dogs, and then you got just a few teams right there in the middle. They're in striking distance, and they're all fighting for that second tier spot, if you will.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to be a fun SEC tournament. It really is going to be an exciting SEC tournament. Because you have Tennessee, obviously another veteran team coming back. A&M is sort of, I know there was maybe a little bit of bumps, but I think they're trending back towards the top of the SEC along with Kentucky with all that talent. And then you got, we got projected 8 or 9 teams in the SEC tournament. So, you look at Mississippi State, another veteran team, any one of these guys, it looks like Tennessee, I think, is going to maybe emerge with Auburn as well. That's another veteran team. You put them right at the top. Auburn, I got them in Mississippi State on Saturday. Auburn's a heck of a team. So I think it's going to be a mess. Who emerges out of that? Good luck. I mean, it could be anybody. I feel like, Vandy, Arkansas, unfortunately, is on the slide. So, those 2 teams have got to, they got to pick it up here before time runs out.
Speaking of Arkansas, your former team, just outside of the A&M game, what's been the biggest issue?
And they've struggled to find somebody who they transfer portal. They brought in a lot of guys, in much like a lot of coaches did that hit the portal hard over the season. They tried to bring in what their weakness was. Last year didn't have a lot of shooters. They didn't have a lot of straight scorers. So Coach Musk brings in about 3-4 guys who, were their team's leading scorer off the previous season. But what they lacked was, really a lead guard, somebody that set them up. Last year, I don't know if you guys remember Anthony Black as a freshman.
But on the flip side, I'm really excited about women's basketball, and I understand that they got demolished by South Carolina, but South Carolina's going to win the national championship unless
they should have won last year.
Yeah, unless the entire team gets the flu. That's the only way South Carolina's
that has actually happened to the A&M football team.
Yeah, right. And or if it ends up, with injuries like women's basketball last year, where at one point they had 6 people like total to play a game,
right?
Which is like a YMCA pickup league kind of depth. And so, but I'm excited about what Joni's doing, and I understand that what happened. I thought that the way they started, and you're like, this is like men's basketball, and the other team's going to score the first 15 points, and then we'll see how things go. But I thought they pulled back. I thought they fought well, and and the detractors that say, South Carolina put in their bench. South Carolina's bench could challenge for the SEC title. All right, South Carolina's depth is completely insane. So I'm excited on both ends of the spectrum for basketball, both men's and women, men and women. I think this is kind of the point where we know where Buzz turns it around. You'd like to see it not have to turn around. Sure. You'd like to see the team not have to fight back in these games. Like what a great surge. Well, maybe you don't expend as much effort if you remember that the whistle starts when it starts, and that's when the game starts. But I'm excited for both sides of basketball. I really am. I think the women, and they talked about it on the broadcast during the South Carolina game, who's that third team that can really start to step up in the SEC? And they really mentioned A&M. And the commentators, look, what are you going to do when it's South Carolina, right? I mean, we stopped them from scoring 100. They're an amazing team, amazing depth. Dawn Staley is such a great coach and what she's been able to build there. But they really talked about what Joni Taylor's building. And you have to realize, like, Joni Taylor's resume is insane, right? And so I'm excited about what's happening on both sides of basketball, both men and women men and women's programs. And then, we're getting real close to Aggie baseball and softball.
Roy, it's been a while for Steven, and Callie's never done this before. Who do I go with on asking what to do next? I think he knows. I don't know. I would assume Callie knows, but I don't know.
Let's absolutely put the onus on her.
Callie, tell the people what to do.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
She was ready for that.
And turn the notifications on.
Yeah, push notifications.
There it is. So you never miss a TexAgs radio post.
This is really good. Would you have known to do that?
I mean, it was either that or Fargo's. Some Fargo's. We'll talk about Fargo's all the time.
We talk about it once a show. It's with Olin Buchanan, and he calls it meat dessert.
He does.
Thank you for watching.